Hi guys, it's Nika, and I've really been procrastinating recording this voiceover. I'm not really sure why, because I was really excited to work on these characters and on introducing them to you, and then it's been a few days, and every morning I wake up and I'm like, okay, I could go work on it now. And then a few minutes later, I'm like, nah, I'd rather go do something else. Usually it's Minecraft. I've really been obsessed with Minecraft lately. I don't know what it is, but well, I know what it is. It's freaking fun, and I refuse to play it for how long has it been out? Like 12 years or something? Yeah, I always found it stupid, and now at the age of 23, I became completely obsessed with it. But this video is not about Minecraft at all. Today, I would like to introduce you to a few more of my characters, and this time we are moving forward on the timeline a little bit, because so far I've been introducing you to characters from Generation 4, or Gen 4 for short. Even though I don't really play that legacy anymore, those characters originated from that, and I still call those characters Gen 4. I think that makes sense. I don't know why I needed to explain that. But yeah, all of them, that was Gen 4. And today we are moving forward. These guys were, and I guess still are, they are Generation 5. They are the children of Generation 4. Why am I talking like that? So these three girls that I will be creating today, they are Tyler's daughters. I will put a picture of Tyler on the screen, although I feel like most of you know who he is, because I post him all the time on my social media, and he's also in my username. Yeah, so these are his Tylers. These are his daughters, James, Mariana, or Mari for short, and Scarlett. And the other two, Mariana and Scarlett, they are twins, and their mother is Sharon, Tyler's girlfriend and later wife, and like they're the end game. But James, he has with someone else. And I'm gonna tell you how that happened and what's going on, because I've never really mentioned that he was with someone else. It was always just Sharon, and maybe like he had that crush on Blake and that weird thing with Alice. And yeah, so I will get into that. I have not prepared a script because I also procrastinated doing that, even though I felt like it would be for the best if I did one. Did not do it, so you'll just have to bear with me if you want to know the tea on these characters. I don't know why I called it a tea, but oh well. Yeah, enjoy this video. And yeah, if you will be interested more in these characters, obviously the original legacy is still on my Tumblr. Feel free to read it if you feel like it. Some things are different than how I will be describing them in this video. And please keep in mind that I wrote these particular generations, Gen 4 and Gen 5, in 2017, which is quite a long time ago. I was a teenager, I was in high school. I'm a bit different now. I would not write everything the way I wrote it back then, but yeah, still, I hope you'll enjoy. So, once upon a time, the Rose family decided to celebrate Christmas somewhere else. In the original story, they went to Moonlight Falls because Sebastian, he inherited a house there from someone, which doesn't really make sense with the new storyline I have for his grandmother, for the founder of the legacy. But still, even in this newer storyline, let's say once upon a time the Rose family went to celebrate Christmas to Moonlight Falls, and they had a great time, apart from Bianca setting the house on fire at some point. Other than that, they really had an amazing Christmas there. Everything was nice, everything was beautiful, everything was going well, and it was kind of boring after a while for the teenagers. So at one point, Tyler suggested that they should check out if there are any clubs in the city, or I guess town. It's not a city. Moonlight Falls is definitely not a city. So they went out. Not that his siblings really wanted to. In fact, Zoe, their younger sibling, their younger sister, she stayed at home. Bianca was really against it, and she's not really a party person at all, so she also stayed at home. The only one who also protested, but like eventually went, even though it's also not really his cup of tea. It's not his cup of tea at all. The only one who went with him in the end, even though he had his doubts and he protested as well, was Caleb. So Tyler and Caleb, they went out in the town and they found this little pub and they stayed there for a while. After a little bit, like, Caleb started being tired and he didn't really enjoy it, so he tried to get Tyler to go home with him. But Tyler was actually having a great time. In fact, he was talking to some girl. He didn't know her name, she never told him, but he was having a really great time with her and with some other people there, and he didn't want to go home yet, so Caleb went home alone. He arrived safely. There's no like scary twist, like yeah, Moonlight Falls may be a supernatural town, but nothing attacked him. No worries. Meanwhile, Tyler was still in the pub and he was pretty much, if I'm doing the maths correctly, he was like freshly an adult. He could like legally drink for just a few months at this point, and he was making the most of it because, I don't know, it was very exciting to drink in public or like outside at like events and stuff. It was very exciting after I turned 18, and now it's like I even forget I can buy alcohol. Anyway, doesn't matter. So he was there, he was drinking with the girl and with her friends or with these other people. Eventually it got really late and people were leaving, but he and the girl, they were still there, and the girl suggested that they could go to her place because her parents weren't home. And so they went there and stuff happened. Well, Tyler's not really sure because he was so drunk. He didn't remember anything. Like, he woke up naked in the girl's bed, so like it must have happened, but he has no recollection of it at all. Not a single memory. And so when he woke up, he was kind of terrified, I would say. No, I'm not sure if terrified is the right word, but he was like, holy crap, what was I doing last night? I need to go home. So he took his stuff and quickly, silently went away. And he went back to the house where his family was staying in Moonlight Falls. And his father was pretty upset with him because he was outside all night and he didn't tell anyone that he would be. And so yeah, they had like, well, they didn't even really have a fight or anything because Tyler just wanted to go home and like, or like inside and process what had happened the previous night. Although there wasn't really anything to process because he really didn't have those memories. So yeah, that happened, and he kind of, after that, he had this thing. He told his friends like, so I may not be a virgin anymore, but I have zero idea. I may have imagined it. I literally have no clue. So his friends like tease him about it. And they're kind of like, well, if you don't remember anything, maybe it should not count. And Tyler's kind of like, yeah, you know what? I do want to remember my first time, so I'm not gonna count it either. Anyway, fast forward a few months from then, we are at the part of the story that I already told you about. There is this whole mess with Alice and Blake, and Sharon has just moved to Twinbrook. Then Blake is like, hey, I'm dating this guy from Bridgeport, and he's also later on like, hey, let's go see my boyfriend play in Bridgeport. And long story short, Tyler gets his band, Rosie gets together, and they start practicing together in Ben's warehouse, and we have this bitter guy here, this bitter person named Grayson, who used to be in the band with the other three guys just before Tyler. And Grayson kind of feels like Tyler stole his glory and everything he could have been, like he stole it from him. And one time he decides to wait for Tyler when he goes home from his practice with the band, and he decides to beat the shit out of him. Long story short. And yeah, so Tyler is sort of lying there on the street, empty street, unconscious. He's really not he's really not well. Like, when I say Grayson beat the shit out of him, he truly did. And then he sort of, before he passes out, he sees a girl. And he can barely make out what she looked like, but he sees a girl and then he passes out. And the next time he wakes up, he is still in pain, but it's not as bad. And he is somewhere in some room, which he supposes it is Bridgeport. And yes, it is Bridgeport, because, well, I'm not gonna tell you why it is Bridgeport, but it is Bridgeport. He wakes up and then passes out again, and wakes up and passes out again. Meanwhile, his family and everyone is looking for him and they cannot find him anywhere. Eventually, he gets his strength back and he's healed faster than he could have been healed with regular medicine. And he eventually recognizes the girl, but he's kind of he never really got those memories back. He can barely even remember what the girl looked like. And so he's like, have we met before? And obviously you, as the audience, you would know that they did, but he does not know, and the girl doesn't say anything. However, girl is pregnant. And so they talk about it. He's like, thank you for saving me. How did you do that? And she's like, well, there's this special talent in my family, and I saw you at the street and I had to save you. And then they talk about the baby, and she is like, well, it's a girl, and I think I'm gonna call her Jamesina. It's a name in my family. And Tyler's kind of like, that's a silly name, just call her James. And she's like, yeah, maybe we will shorten it to James, I don't know. But Jamesina is a traditional name in our family. And he asks the girl to, what's her name? And she doesn't say again. And then I don't remember how exactly I wrote it, but before the girl can tell him her name, everything disappears around him, and he's just standing somewhere in the park of Bridgeport, and he's like, what the fuck just happened? Was that real, or was that a dream? Did I did we do something with the boys in the warehouse? And was I high or something? What happened? And he never found out, or for many years he had no clue what the fuck that was. If it really happened or if it was a hallucination or something. And then he goes back to his family and all is well, and that's not really the point of this video or anything. He kind of forgets about this girl. He doesn't really care about what happened in Moonlight Falls. He doesn't really think about it anymore. Years pass. Tyler gets married. He becomes a father to two beautiful daughters. He has an amazing career. Everything is going well. And then 13 years after that Moonlight Falls incident, let's call it, someone rings the bell. And when he looks out of the door, he realizes he has seen this woman before. It all comes back to him. The weird thing he had in Bridgeport, how he got injured and some girl was taking care of him. And before that, the night at the pub with the girl, he realizes it's her. And that's not the biggest surprise for him. The bigger surprise is that right next to her, there is a little 13-year-old version of him. So he invites them in, and the woman says she really didn't want to drag him into this. So like that's why she never reached out. But now there is no other way about it. She is sick and there is nothing she can do anymore. She knows it's her final weeks or months. She will be gone soon, and so she would like Tyler to take care of his daughter. And Tyler is shocked, and he's like, he doesn't try to doubt that this girl is his child, because she is a spitting image of him, and he also has this gut feeling that it's actually his daughter. But he asks the woman, like, why did she never tell him? Why didn't she tell him that she was pregnant with his child? And she again goes that she didn't want to drag him into this. Listen, like the way their like night happened, she admits that she kind of manipulated him with magic, and she, like, after that she didn't do it anymore, because she found that she got pregnant with him, and her beliefs kind of stopped her from getting rid of the baby, if you know what I mean. She would let anyone else get rid of the baby, but she herself would not. So she decided to take care of the girl, Jamesina, alone, because she felt like it was a punishment. She did this to guys all the time. She tricked them, she manipulated them with her magic power, and then she like made them forget while she got what she wanted. And then with Tyler, it backfired, I guess, and yeah, she ended up being pregnant. She felt really ashamed. She moved to Bridgeport for a little bit, and later on she moves back to Moonlight Falls. And yeah, so now she cannot take care of James anymore, and she asks Tyler, I mean, she doesn't really ask him, she's like, please take her. And Tyler is like, yeah, of course, this is a very weird situation, but of course I will. Even though he's kind of afraid of how he will explain everything to his family, especially to Sharon. And so that's how James gets into the family, and I've been talking this whole time about her. There's so much I still want to tell you about her, like her actual storyline and how she got adjusted to Twinbrook, how the family took her in, how she enjoyed Twinbrook, what friends she made, what she did, and then later on how she reunites with her childhood friend, and they sort of have a thing going on, and then her childhood friend turns out to be a huge dick, long story short. But we still have two girls to talk about. I knew that the James part would take a lot of time, but I didn't expect it to take this much time. So I'm just quickly going to talk about Mariana and Scarlett as well. And then either I will go back to James in this video, or I'm thinking about maybe doing a speed build, some like witchy house, and I could call it like James's childhood home, and then I could talk about James a bit more in depth. So we will see how that goes. I have no clue. I have no clue how long this video will be. But yeah, let's go. Let's move on to the twins. So Mary and Scarlett are daughters of Tyler and Sharon. They are twins, and growing up they were basically inseparable, and they were basically the same person, except not in the looks. And like Tyler and Sharon never did this like thing of trying to dress their children the same. Like, they were individuals, but they were very similar. And that only started changing when they were teenagers, they were both quite confident. They both had like healthy confidence. But Mary started being the one who's like a bit more rebellious, while Scarlett's confidence stayed kind of like, I don't know, she wasn't rebellious basically. Both of the girls were very talented. Mary is very good at sports. She really took after her mother. She was on the swimming team when she was at school. She was quite good at swimming. She was quite fast and everything. And Scarlett, she was more of that, like, I don't want to say studious type, but she definitely was better with the books. She was really great at languages, And both girls were really good at writing as well. In the original Legacy, I had this whole storyline about how they applied to study in this prestigious school for talented children, and then they got kicked out because originally in The Sims 3, Scarlett had the kleptomaniac trait, and I did it so that she stole something, and then both girls were expelled. I don't think I'm gonna keep it. I don't want to keep it. But yeah, still, both girls are very talented, even though I'm scrapping this whole school for talented children idea. Scarlett's also no longer a kleptomaniac. Anyway, I made sure to point out that both girls are really good at writing. And as young adults, they both do something that has to do with writing. Mary goes to university to study journalism, and she eventually writes about sports, and then later on the peak of her career is that she's like a sports commentator on the TV. And Scarlett, although she doesn't go to university to study it, she still writes a lot. And Scarlett, growing up, she was obsessed with the stories of her great-grandfather Ezra, who used to be a traveler, and he visited a lot of countries around the world, a lot of places, and he painted pictures of what he has seen. And her great-grandmother was a curator at the museum, and she really was obsessed with these stories, and she wanted to see all these faraway countries as well. And so growing up, she saves up money so that she can go on many journeys around the world. And then finally, as a young adult, she can finally go. And on one of her first journeys, she decides to start a travel blog where she writes about what she's seen and what she's learned and how her travels are. And she takes pictures. And eventually, this blog kind of blows up, and she gets a lot of followers, a lot of people read her stories and everything. So she can kind of make it her job. I imagine that she publishes a few books about her travels as well. And she mostly focuses on the nature in her travels. Her great-grandparents, they were more into architecture and sites and, the history of people, I guess. But Scarlett travels to these faraway countries to see the nature, see the animals, and nature, basically. As for the twins' relationships, Mary starts dating Mason in high school. Mason happens to be the son of Thomas and Alice, who are Tyler's best friends, some of his best friends. So Mary and Mason, growing up, they knew each other. They saw each other quite often, but when they were kids, they kind of despised each other. And then, sort of by accident, it happens that they fall in love in high school and stay together until the end, basically. And as for Scarlett, she also found a girlfriend in high school. She doesn't have a name because she didn't really exist in the original storyline. And then after changing the story, I never gave her a name. But I might create her later, I don't know yet. They were together for a few years. It was a really long-term relationship, and together they traveled to many places. But then the relationship didn't really work out, and they broke up. And Scarlett was alone. She was single for a few months, and then her dad, being famous and all that, and knowing a lot of people in the industry, someone reached out to him and said, okay, so we are looking for someone. We are going to do another season of the Bachelor Challenge, or The Bachelor, I guess. The challenge is what the challenge is called. But we want to do another season of Bachelor or Bachelorette. And we were kind of thinking, we heard that your daughter, the one with the travel blog, we heard that she is single, and we thought that maybe it would be fun if this season was hers. And Tyler says, okay, I will ask her if she wants to do it. I don't think this is really her cup of tea, but maybe she will be interested. And much to his surprise, Scarlett is like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's a new experience, and yeah, I will see how it goes. And then the Bachelor Challenge, the Bachelorette Challenge. That is an actual thing that I did. It's also in my Tumblr. And that's how she found her other girlfriend and later wife. The Bachelorette Challenge, it was the very first Bachelorette Challenge or Bachelor Challenge I did, and it was kind of a mess, not gonna lie. My laptop was very laggy, and it was not very enjoyable to play through that save, but I did it, and eventually Scarlett found the one. Her name is Hannah, and they got together on the BC, and then after the challenge, they also went to travel. They were basically always on the road until a few years later when they decided to settle down. They bought a little house with a huge garden, and they basically started a farm, I guess. And they had children together. I'm sorry, I don't remember how many children they had or what their names were. Same with Mary and Mason's children. I have no fucking clue. And yeah, they settled down. They had a farm. They still travel from time to time, but they also stay at home a lot because they have a farm to take care of. I'm not sure farm is the right word, but like I imagine them to be like cottagecore lesbians, and they are so freaking cute. Anyway, I will talk more about Mason and Hannah later on in another video that I'm planning to do. I've been talking too much. This video is insanely long for a Creator Sim video. I will be surprised if anyone is still watching and listening, but if you do, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I will see you all next time as well. And I will talk, as I promised, I will talk more about James in a speed build. I'm hoping to have it out tomorrow. If not, it will happen some other day. But yeah, it's definitely gonna happen. So look forward to that. And yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye everyone.